I was asked a direct question yesterday, and I answered it honestly. There's nothing more to go into. I'm in this race now.
Did the White House offer you a job to not get in the primary?
And I answered that yes. And I answered it honestly. But to go beyond that doesn't serve any purpose.
Was it Navy Secretary?
As I said, there's nothing to be gained by focusing on this politics stuff.
Last Tuesday, you told us, I don't have the update with me on Sestak.
Yeah,
things have happened since then.
I don't have any.
Send a letter to the White House counsel.
I don't have anything additional on that.
Are you ever going to have anything additional on that?
I don't have it today.
Yes or no? Straightforward question. Were you offered a job, and what was the job?
I was offered a job, and I answered that.
You said no, you wouldn't take the job. Was it the Secretary of the Navy? Was it the Secretary of the Navy job?
Anything that goes beyond that is for others to talk about.
I'm not a lawyer, but lawyers in the White House and others have looked into conversations that were had with Congressman Sestak, and nothing inappropriate happened.
Put it to rest right now.
Well, that is some of the flap that erupted after Democratic Senate nominee Joe Sestak of Pennsylvania claimed the White House wanted him to drop out of a primary race for a U.S. Senate seat from Pennsylvania. That race pitted him against fellow Democrat Arlen Specter, and the Obama White House admits it did not want to see that contest take place. Sestak says he was offered another job, in essence to get out of the race, an offer he turned down. And the president responded to a question raised by Fox's Major Garrett on Thursday about the job offer.
I can assure the public that nothing improper took place. But as I said, there will be a response shortly on that issue.
Well, shortly is right. The next day, on Friday, the White House counsel released a report revealing former President Bill Clinton spoke to Sestak about a possible unpaid job as a White House advisor. The White House also said the Navy Secretary job was not the one that was proffered. What are the questions the media should be asking here, Jim? I mean, you've worked in the White House. Is this the kind of stuff that happens all the time, or is this going over the line?
I think this stuff does happen fairly often. Shocking. Shocking. What is rare, though, is that somebody who gets an offer like that goes public with it, because it is, in fact, a felony.
And I don't think he intended to go public. He just happened to mention. No, he just happened to. He was talking to Larry Kane, a legendary Philadelphia newsman, and he asked the question. He said yes. That's all it was.
John, back when I was a reporter in Albany, New York, and Covington, Kentucky, and a few other places, I wish I knew this stuff was a crime. I'd have won 3 or 4 Pulitzers by this time. I mean, this is the standard practice in every single political jurisdiction in the world. Run for this, hang on, your time will come in 4 years, we'll take care of you in the county clerk's office. That's politics.
You're right, it is politics, but it's also a felony. And what is so interesting is that with the exception of a few journalists like Byron York and Michelle Malkin, Mark Levin, the mainstream media was completely uninterested in this felony, and I think it would have been different if it had been a Bush administration.
But next, let's indict every member of Congress and every state legislator and everyone else.
All great scandals begin with I did not have, it was not inappropriate, and it was a third-rate burglary. And they all start that way.
You know, but this is an inside the Beltway felony. This is the kind of thing that politicians themselves care deeply about, and yes, it is the law, but with everything going on in this country this week...
Yeah, it's like immigration. Who cares what the law is?
Please, let's get a grip. I mean, it's not an impeachable offense.
And is anyone here on the panel surprised that Bill Clinton is somehow involved? I mean, here we have 6 degrees of separation.
The original question, John, how many questions about this? There's about 100 million questions to come out of this. All these timelines and so on. And again, Bill Clinton is a legendary Democratic politico. He's something of a magnet for curiosity and scandal. And his credibility as to exactly what happened, shall we say, is not perfect.
But if we are genuinely outraged at this, and I don't know really who, but if we're genuinely outraged, let's broaden it and let's indict the entire political system.
If that's the only way we can get term limits, I'm for it.
But do you think that the media ought to just drop this?
Listen, I'll pursue it. It's a fine story. Go get him. He's running for office. Everything is fair game.
But
his opponents are hitting. He should hit back.
That the media would have been much more eager to pursue this if it had been a Bush administration. You admit it.
Come on.
Come on.
Listen,
It's between us.
it ain't that great to start with. And boy, I remember some county executives back in Kentucky that I could go after on that
not
one.
the president.
I think having Bill Clinton involved gives it, if we can use the term, a little sex appeal.
That's good.
And you might hear Ellis's admission during the break. FoxNews.com/Fox News Watch. We'll see what he has to say. Time for another break. Up next, a disgraced politician